The Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Arap Ruto, together with Musalia Mudavadi, who is the ANC party leader, and Moses Masika Wetangula, the Ford Kenya chairperson or Ford Kenya leader, today embarked on their first public rally in Western Kenya after they agreed to work together. I want us to look at that rally because I observed several things, but I want us to focus on ANC members of parliament. Where were they? ANC members of parliament boycotted this event. In Malava constituency, there was only one ANC member of parliament, Ijendi, who is actually the area member of parliament. And the other person who was there from Kakamega County was actually none other than Senator Cleophas Malala. So what is wrong with Musalia Mudavadi, and why are these members of parliament boycotting his events? But before I get into that, I also observed something. During this tour, the Deputy President was doing something which I think is significant politically speaking. He was introducing Musalia Mudavadi and introducing Moses Masika Wetangula. That tukiwa na Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula, na tukiwa na Rigathi Gachagua and Alice Wahome. So basically, Deputy President was trying to elevate Alice Wahome and Rigathi Gachagua during these rallies, which got me thinking. Is William Samoei Ruto trying to gauge who is popular amongst Kenyans? Because Rigathi Gachagua is very popular and Alice Wahome in the larger Mount Kenya region. But what of Western Kenya? Is it possible that the Deputy President was trying to gauge who is more acceptable to Kenyans outside the larger Mount Kenya region between these two gentlemen? Because between the gentleman and the lady, because William Ruto is going to settle on either Alice Wahome as his running mate or Rigathi Gachagua. But before we get into all these details, if you're watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two and click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue. Thank you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. I want to thank you guys so much for your support. And by the way, you can continue supporting this channel by just giving it thumbs up, so that YouTube, there's a way, if you give it thumbs up, there's a way YouTube promotes it. You can drop your comments and you can also share the video. And I normally read the comments. And for those who cannot write their comments there, you can also reach me on my WhatsApp number, which is 0777 741323. 0777 741323. Please restrict it to WhatsApp. And if I don't respond immediately, maybe later. But I normally try to respond. But don't call that number, because sometimes if you call it, it might not be picked, or you'll find it offline, and then you'll start complaining that I give people number here, which is not the right number. Let us get into business. Straight to the point. And I want to begin by asking you a simple question. If you followed that event in Kakamega and the one in Bungoma, and I want to ask you a question. Would there have been any difference if, assuming William Ruto alone was in Kakamega for that rally in Malava, and again the Deputy President was alone in that rally in Bungoma? One thing which I always give to the Deputy President is his ability to mobilize crowd. So I don't think in terms of the attendance, it would have been different. And the other thing which stood out is the fact that UDA branding is intact. The members of parliament supporting Ruto from the larger Western Kenya are still also intact. So during that rally, the members of parliament allied to Ruto were actually more than those who support Mudavadi and Weta. So the question is, why do you think these members of parliament who are allied to Mudavadi decided to evade this event, because the day Musalia Mudavadi organized that NDC, most of these members of parliament were at that NDC. And it was during that NDC where probably they agreed to enter into a coalition agreement with the deputy president. But after that NDC, we've seen people like Bishop Hamala, people who are passionate about Mudavadi, leaving Mudavadi for Azimio. We've seen people like my friend Tindi Mwale, and by the way, when my dad passed on, Mwale, the Mwale of Mwale City, the guy, I've never met him, I don't know him, but he sent someone with his contribution, which I really appreciated. Someone I've also not met, but we are friends, called Miss Trudy, a YouTuber. And they sent me money to help me with the funeral expenses. I really appreciated Mwale for that, Hampstone City. So the brother has also stood with Musalia Mudavadi, Tindi Mwale, very strongly. But he also defected. So the question is, why are these guys leaving Musalia Mudavadi? I just want us to be a bit sober. Could you be having your own thoughts on why these guys are actually leaving Musalia Mudavadi? Because this was the time, if the move by Musalia Mudavadi was the best for Musalia Mudavadi, if that move by Musalia Mudavadi had the support on the ground, then in my considered opinion, this was the best time for these members of parliament to actually support him. But why are they not? Why are they not joining him in his rallies, maiden rallies in the larger Western Kenya? In my view, I have only 5 reasons. Before I give you those reasons, give me your reasons. Let me just begin. My first reason, I think President Uhuru Kenyatta, and to some extent Raila Odinga, and majorly Raila Odinga, is the main cause why these guys are doing this. If you've been following the politics of this country, there was a time Raila Odinga just decided to cut off the link between himself, Weta, and Mudavadi. In my considered opinion, Raila Odinga saw something when most Kenyans didn't believe. He had intelligence that Mudavadi and Weta were finally, ultimately, going to join Ruto, but they were wasting his time. So he started laying ground to consolidate his support without Mudavadi and without Wetangula. That is something he started doing. And just before we began this year, he organized that massive Bukungu Stadium meeting too. So Raila Odinga consolidated his ground. And the truth of the matter is that when it comes to Western Kenya, Busia is always pro-Raila Odinga. Kakamega has always been pro-Raila Odinga. Bungoma has always been pro-Wetangula. So I think after Mudavadi now made this move to join Ruto, Raila Odinga decided that the best thing for him was to try and reach out to members of parliament from these regions and probably enter into some agreements with them that join. Then probably when it comes to nominations, you'll see what to do. Because the other fact is that most of these members of parliament are on the ground. We saw the Namulindo guy, the Matungu member of parliament recently, going around asking people whether waende Azimio ama UDA, and the response was just clear that the residents wanted him to go to Azimio. So I think Raila Odinga is very strong on the ground. And the fact that he reached out to some of these members of parliament, maybe through Atuoli, through Uhuru, and whoever, is the main reason why these members of parliament decided now to join Raila Odinga and his Azimio instead of going with the deputy president and his new partners. So that's number one. Number two, I also tend to think that it could be by design, by William Samoei Ruto himself, to lower Musalia Mudavadi's bargaining power when they'll be negotiating. You see, politics is a game of perception. So if a perception is being created outside there that Musalia Mudavadi doesn't have MPs, like when they are meeting, he will be asked. For me, I have Didmas Baraza, I have Washiali, I have Dan Wanyama, I have, for example, Meja Waluke, and maybe others have not mentioned. Then Mudavadi will be told, name your members of parliament who are supporting you. They will not be there. So how do you bargain? You are already bagged. How do you start bargaining from that point? So I think the deputy president also designed this thing this way, so that Musalia Mudavadi bargaining power was going to be reduced. Let me tell you, if William Ruto could convince Mudavadi and Weta to leave One Kenya Alliance movement, where President Uhuru Kenyatta was, there was nothing which stops William Ruto from convincing these members of parliament to remain with Musalia Mudavadi. Nothing. So he did this deliberately. He wanted Musalia Mudavadi to remain like, when you have a big tree and you want to cut it, the strategy is, it's normally very difficult, so the strategy is you climb, then you cut those branches first. So you'll remain with the tree itself standing. So Kekata, you can easily direct it this side, and that side. And that's exactly, in my view, what the deputy president has done. Very strategic move by him, created by design. Let these members of parliament go without following them. Then you can now negotiate. Number 3, in my view, I think there was lack of consultation before Mudavadi made this move. Before Mudavadi announced that he was going to join Ruto, I strongly believe that he didn't consult majority of these members of parliament. Maybe he feared leakage, which is okay, and maybe shared it only with Malala and with Sakaja. And these guys never shared it with other members of parliament. So these guys were in Bomas hoping that Musalia Mudavadi was going to be the presidential candidate, and of course they had told their people that Musalia Mudavadi was going to be presidential candidate and nothing else. And then Mudavadi stands up, give a speech, and in that speech he's conceding that he's not necessarily that he must be the presidential candidate. So I think the fact that this thing was done and Mudavadi did not consult members of parliament, he did not even hold the PG to share with them what his thoughts were about 2022, is what annoyed some of these guys. And they decided the best thing for us, let us keep off, wewe enda peke yako, will remain with the people. Number 4, I also think that the ground is hostile. Between members of parliament and Mudavadi, who has contacts with the ground on a daily basis? Members of parliament. You can't tell me that all elected members of parliament from Kakamega, who are elected on ANC party, for example, would want to leave that party if that party was popular. I don't think so. So the ground must be hostile to Mudavadi after that move. So members of parliament are keen, they want to go back to parliament. How do they go back to parliament? Choose a party which has ground, which is popular on the ground. And that's how Azimio la Umoja movement is gaining. And lastly, is what I've always maintained here, is Francis Atwoli's factor. In the last election, Francis Atwoli played a key role in ensuring that ANC party got several members of parliament. Francis Atwoli sponsored, if you didn't know, Cleophas Malala. I remember meeting Malala during the campaigns last time in Kisumu, and he was telling us, because I think the ODM candidate then was a guy called Panyako. So he was telling us that for him, he was going to win, because already he has the support of Atwoli, and Atwoli is going to provide the funds and the influence. He told us that. He might have forgotten, but he told us. We were with some friends. So Francis Atwoli sponsored most of these members of parliament. So they are in parliament because of Atwoli. It means if Atwoli tells them that, please don't do that, don't go with that guy, as you are going this way, they'll definitely go. I don't know what you think. What is your opinion about today's rallies in Bungoma and Kakamega? My opinion is that they are as successful as usual. Very successful rallies by the deputy president and by Musalia Mudavadi. What I don't know is the real ground, what the ground is actually saying, what the ground is saying about the new alliance between Ruto, Mudavadi, and Weta. Because crowd you can hire. I don't know what you think. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.